Cold open patch Tuesday has a way of arriving before it arrives. You can feel it in the floorboards. Tonight, the morgue is lit, the instruments are clean, and the drawers are waiting, but the truck from Redmond has not yet backed into the alley. If the calendar on the wall is telling the truth, it is Sunday, August 9, 2026, and the formal August Patch Tuesday shipment is due on Tuesday, August 11. That means the bodies are not on the slabs yet. No toe tags, no final cause of death, no official count from Microsoft, no final bulletin roll from Adobe, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the kind of silence that makes a security operations center pour another pot of coffee. Out there, sysadmins are already pacing the tile. Vulnerability managers have their filters ready in the Microsoft Security Update Guide. Incident responders are watching for the words that make the blood run cold. Exploited, yes. Publicly disclosed, yes. Exploitation, more likely. In the Adobe ward, the usual suspects are under observation: Acrobat and Reader, Commerce, Cold Fusion, Experience Manager, and the Creative Cloud bench. But a coroner does not invent wounds. A detective does not plant evidence. Tonight's report is the pre-autopsy, the chalk outline before the formal cut. The lesson is still useful, because when the August 2026 advisories drop, the first hour will matter. The body. For Microsoft, that source is the Microsoft Security Update Guide at mrc.microsoft.com Update Guide and the MSRC blog. For Adobe, it is the Product Security Bulletins page at helpx.adobe.com security.html. Until those pages publish the August 2026 case files, there is no defensible total for vulnerabilities patched, no confirmed number of critical, important, moderate, or low issues, and no honest count of remote code execution, elevation of privilege, information disclosure, denial of service, spoofing, tampering, or security feature bypass defects. That is not a clerical nicety. It is the difference between a coroner's report and a rumor scratched on a matchbook. Microsoft advisories carry fields. Defenders must preserve exactly: CVE identifier, CBSS v3.1 score, severity, affected product, affected component, attack vector, attack complexity, privileges required, user interaction, exploitation status, public disclosure status, exploitability assessment, mitigation, workaround, KB number, restart requirement, and supersedence. Adobe bulletins carry their own findings: product, bulletin ID, platform, priority rating, vulnerability class, CVE list, and severity. Those details decide who gets surgery first and who can wait in the hall, so the count tonight is marked pending. Total Microsoft vulnerabilities, pending. Microsoft critical, important, moderate, and low, pending. Microsoft RCE and EOP, pending. Adobe total CVEs, pending. Adobe critical and important, pending. But the shape of the investigation is already clear, and it points toward the same dark streets defenders walk every month: internet-facing servers, identity systems, client-side document handlers, kernel privilege paths, and network services that take packets from strangers. The headlines. The first headliner to look for when the drawer opens is any Microsoft vulnerability marked exploited. Yes. That flag outranks almost every other detail. A CVSS 7.8 elevation of privilege already in the hands of an intruder can be more urgent than a theoretical CVSS 9.8 remote code execution bug trapped behind a narrow precondition. The usual components to examine under the lamp are Windows kernel, Windows Common Log File System Driver, Win32K, Windows Ancillary Function Driver for WinSock, and kernel mode drivers. These bugs are often local attack vector, low complexity, low or no user interaction, and they matter because they turn a foothold into SYSTM. In real intrusions, that is, the second knife wound, the one that lets a phishing click become full machine control. The second headliner is any unauthenticated, network-exploitable remote code execution vulnerability in an internet-facing Microsoft service. If August 2026 includes Exchange Server, SharePoint Server, Windows Routing and Remote Access Service, DNS Server, DHCP Server, SMB RPC or SMB RPC or Windows TCP IP with a CVSS score in the 9.0 range, that case file goes to the top of the pile. The autopsy terms to watch are attack vector network, attack complexity low, privileges required none, user interaction none. That combination means an attacker may not need a password, a click, or a man on the inside. They only need reachability. In a bad month, that is how one corpse becomes a ward full of them. The third headliner belongs to Microsoft Office and Outlook. These are client-side crime scenes, but they are never minor just because a user is involved. A malicious document, a crafted email, a preview pane trigger, or a credential leak through NTLM can become the opening scene in a larger compromise. The danger signs are remote code execution, security feature bypass, spoofing that enables credential theft, and any note that the preview pane is an attack vector. If a vulnerability permits code execution when a user opens or previews a crafted file, the attacker gets a delivery route that fits inside ordinary business traffic. That is why Office patches do not sit politely at the back of the queue. The fourth headliner is Identity Infrastructure. Active Directory Domain Services, LDAP, Kerberos, NTLM, Active Directory Certificate Services, and related authentication components deserve a long look from every enterprise defender. Even when CVSS scores are not headline-grabbing, the operational blast radius can be ugly. An authentication bypass, privilege escalation, certificate abuse path, delegation flaw, or relay condition can turn a limited account into domain dominance. Attack complexity and privileges required matter here, but so does architecture. If the vulnerable component sits at the heart of the domain, the wound is deep even when the entry cut looks small. Adobe often rates Acrobat and Reader fixes by priority as well as severity, and defenders should pay attention to both. Adobe Commerce, formerly Magento, and Cold Fusion belong in the same spotlight when internet-facing. A Commerce authentication bypass or Cold Fusion deserialization remote code execution flaw does not need to be glamorous to be dangerous. If it is reachable from the public internet, it has a front door and a neon sign. 0-day watch. As of this pre-release report, there are no confirmed August 2026 Microsoft or Adobe 0 days to name because the official advisories have not been published. That is not the same as saying there are none. It means the coroner has not received the body. When Microsoft publishes, the key fields are exploited and publicly disclosed. Exploited, yes, means activity has been observed in the wild before the fix arrived. Publicly disclosed, yes, means enough detail may already be available for attackers to reconstruct the weapon. Either condition changes triage, both together make the case radioactive. For Adobe, the 0-day watch is just as strict. Adobe bulletins sometimes note active exploitation, especially for products like Acrobat and Reader when targeted document attacks are in play. If an Adobe bulletin says a vulnerability is exploited in the wild, defenders should treat it like blood on the doorknob. Defenders should treat it like blood on the doorknob. Patch exposed servers and widely deployed desktop software immediately, then hunt for evidence. Look for suspicious PDF delivery, abnormal child processes from Acrobat or Reader, unexpected web shells on Cold Fusion or Commerce hosts, and new administrative accounts where none should exist. Patch immediately, within 24 to 72 hours, anything actively exploited, anything publicly disclosed with plausible exploit detail, Any critical remote code execution bug on an internet-facing system, any Exchange or SharePoint remote code execution or authentication bypass, any Windows network stack flaw involving TCP/IP, DNS, DHCP, SMD, RPC, or routing and remote access with network attack vector and low complexity, and any Adobe Acrobat, Reader, Cold Fusion, Commerce, or Experience Manager issue that is critical and widely reachable. If the component faces the internet and takes untrusted input, it does not get a leisurely funeral. Within 7 days, move on high-impact elevation of privilege bugs in Windows kernel, CLFS, Win32K, and major drivers, because these are the accomplices that help initial access become total control. Patch Office and Outlook remote code execution, spoofing, and credential disclosure defects quickly, especially where phishing risk is high. Prioritize Active Directory, Kerberos, LDAP, NTLM, and ADCS defects. Hyper-V escape flaws matter in dense virtualization estates. SQL Server, Visual Studio, Azure Connected Tooling, and developer components need attention where they touch production or supply chain workflows. Lower risk information disclosure, denial of service, and client-side issues with high interaction requirements may fall into a 14 to 30-day lane, but only after exposure is checked and compensating controls are verified. Sing off that is the file as it stands tonight. The tables are ready, the tags are blank, and the official August 2026. Patch Tuesday Autopsy cannot be certified until Microsoft and Adobe deliver the remains. When they do, read the exploitation flags first, the attack vector second, the affected product third, and the CVSS score with one eye open. This is Jack Cipher, closing the morgue ledger for now. Keep your scanners warm, your backups clean, and your coffee bitter. If we do the triage right, we live long enough to meet next month's dead.